So good morning, everyone. And we are live. We've been encountering some difficulties to get started. We apologize for that late start. So we want to welcome you to another installment of Facebook Live with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Consumer Affairs Division. We hope that you have shared your poster with your friends and family. If you haven't done so, you can do so now. We have some really important information that we want to share with you this morning, and we really want that you don't miss out on this. So share the live, and we are going to start in about a few seconds. So I'm looking to see. Welcome to those who are joining us. I'm seeing some people joining us now. Welcome. For those of you who want to send questions to us during this presentation, you can do so on our Facebook Messenger chat. You can also send an email to consumeraffairs@gov.tt, and we will entertain your questions, your comments, and anything that you want to share with us. So we're going to start now, and remember to share the live. Okay, so today, our topic centers around online shopping safety tips and how we as consumers can exercise safe shopping habits when engaging in virtual or online shopping. For the purposes of this presentation, we will focus on online and virtual shopping in this jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago, even though some tips would work for virtual shopping in general. Our speakers for today are from the Ministry of Trade and Industry Consumer Affairs Division, Mrs. Cheryl Woodruff Roberts, and we have our guest speaker from the Cyber and Social Media Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Inspector Daniel Hernandez. So today, first we will hear from Mrs. Cheryl Woodruff Roberts, and she will give us online shopping tips in general. And then we will hear from Inspector Daniel Hernandez of the CSMU, who will give us shopping tips and safety tips for online shopping from the perspective of crime prevention. So right now, I will ask you to engage us for the next 10 minutes as Mrs. Woodruff Roberts from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Consumer Affairs Division, speaks to us. Remember to take notes because our Q&A will follow just after Mr. Hernandez speaks to us. So jot down your notes and take notes and remember the questions so that when we come after Mr. Hernandez speaks, we will entertain all the questions and the queries that you may have. So listen while Mrs. Woodruff Roberts speaks to us.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to you all. I am going to touch on just a few advantages and disadvantages of shopping online. Shopping online it's convenient, but as with everything else, there are drawbacks, and I believe that Inspector Hernandez will touch on a lot of the drawbacks. Okay. Hold 1 second as I start my video. It was giving me a little problem before. So as I said before, I will just touch on some of the advantages and disadvantages. So how it works, shopping online. Let me share my screen with you. Yes. Bear with me. Shopping online is convenient, and how it works. Online shopping includes purchasing through websites, your emails, text messaging, social media, and auctions like eBay, Trade Me, etc. Some of the advantages of shopping online include stores are open, they never close. You can shop all night. You don't have, you will save on gas. You have the advantage of sitting in your home and shopping and clicking from side to side. You have no hassle of long lines, and also you don't have the hassle of parking. Okay. You can post reviews about the products that you purchase. This enables, or this acts as a safety mechanism for other shoppers. They can always review the reviews to know what to shop for and which line is safe, which you know, where it's safer to shop, which website is safer, where it's safer, and you get, okay, there are also a lot more alternative items that you all can, that shoppers can access. We move on to some of the disadvantages. And while, yes, you shop in the convenience of your home, there are always those who are waiting to distress you. And again, Inspector Hernandez will touch on some of those. And because one of the advantages of shopping online, disadvantages, sorry, you cannot inspect the items. You cannot physically inspect what or try on what you are about to purchase. As a result, you are giving up your rights, in other words, to try on or to inspect an item before you purchase. So you are sort of passing on the liability to yourself, right? So this is one of the disadvantages in purchasing online. So sometimes the product you are given is misrepresented. You may see one thing and you may receive another, right? You purchase it, you may see an item, and when you purchase it, it's not exactly what you want. So therefore, please ensure that you get proper description when you're purchasing items. Make sure that if you want leather, make sure leather is described. Make sure the size is proper, okay? Ensure that you get what you value for money, in other words. Online shoppers do not always know if a site is a legitimate retail store. We don't know. So this is why even the posting of the reviews will help you in this respect. As we go on, move on, buying online from local business. We have a lot of local businesses now, they're going online, and we have to be just as careful as buying abroad as with the local. However, we have some advantages with the local business in that they are here in Trinidad and we don't have to pay for shipping, and in some cases, the extra taxes and fees that incur in buying overseas. However, we have to be extremely careful also. We still have to look for a safe, look at the reviews, and you know, we still have to do that. So buying online, overseas and local, we have to be extremely careful as well. Just Couple of tips for buying online. Please try your best to use your credit card if possible. All right. And use familiar websites. Be careful, be aware, look for the lock. Do not overshare. Create strong passwords and do your homework. If you have to shop with your mobile phone, regularly update your software, adjust settings for maximum security and privacy, and watch out for the fake apps. I now turn you over to Inspector Hernandez. Thank you very much.
Pleasant day to you all. It's indeed a pleasure to be here today as we continue to discuss shopping online. It must be noted that due to the coronavirus, there has sparked an increase in the rise of online shopping. Agencies are stating that criminals continue to prey on victims who are working from home because that has been the order of the day. Persons are being forced to work from home. There's also fears of catching viruses, and that fear has been driven during the sharp increase in online shopping. And that has given rise to something called delivery fraud. And that has pushed us to a place where we need to do online shopping, but then fraud or the criminals have increased their ability to commit crimes online. So how do we mitigate this situation? Stand by. So how do we look at it from the advances in technology, and in some instances we look later on, how do we mitigate these items? So Trinidad and Tobago have entered a paradigm where transformation has increased our reliance on connectivity. Advances in technology have enabled offenders to become advanced in their online methods. When looking to save money, many citizens have turned to selling or placing items for sale online. Public safety is one of the strategic priority pillars upon which the TTPS has laid its foundation regarding citizens' safety. So we need to be clear to understand that we have to shop online because that is the paradigm shift. We are connected, but we must be conscious that there's a question of safety online. And we are going to touch on some tips today that could point us in some directions. The pandemic that had begun in 2020 sent online shopping skyrocketed, as we spoke about early on. And this social commerce is that evolution of e-commerce, where people are purchasing and transactions are continuing at a very high rate. And you have buyers and sellers are not known to each other. That's an area that is coming up. And that's where personal safety again comes into question. So what are some of the risks involved with online shopping? You have identity theft, which is the hacking into e-commerce websites and stealing users' login or credit credentials. Then you have fake online stores. These stores that are coming up that are promising so much good deals. As I said a time before, if it's too good to be true, it's really too good to be true. And then you have something what most people don't really think about, which is something called unencrypted data, meaning data that has not been protected. And some of these websites have the ability to get this unencrypted data when you go to view them. And then an item that is coming up a lot is something called fake reviews. So you go on to YouTube, you go on to these places, you go different places to get reviews, sometimes even on the Amazon sites. You look to see what people are saying about the item. And some of these places outside of the reputable places, they have fake reviews where people are saying, yes, this item is good, this item works well. And really and truly, it is really just to get you to purchase or to get information about you that you don't readily want to share. And then in some times when you go to these places that doesn't have a good reputation or you have no information about them, you have adware, where unsolicited ads that pop up on the screen when browsing the internet. These ads become more prevalent when you are visiting these sites that does not have a proper reputation. And as usual, also, there's phishing, where scammers send fake emails, which appear to be from genuine retailers, but really and truly, it is a scam, getting you to click on these items. I heard the speaker before mention about HTTPS, and these things are very important. People take it for granted, but we are watching where persons are still clicking on these emails and they become victims of online crimes. So shopping on social media platforms. The last 2 years saw an uptick of online scams in Trinidad and Tobago. Numerous incidents of robberies that have occurred after responding to social media advertising. Now, I want this to be very clear to the listening and viewing public that you are taking a risk when you are purchasing from social media platforms, meaning you are making contact with persons who are asking you to meet them at locations, meet them at places to purchase items, and we are having an uptick of this particular item where people are being robbed and where scams are being placed within these spaces. Perpetrators who would lure their potential victims, advertise popular items. The negative impact of the pandemic results in perpetrators exploiting the vulnerabilities of the citizenry. And we want persons to be aware that, yes, we are living in a pandemic, but that doesn't mean we are to place ourselves in harm's way by not protecting ourselves with these online shopping and also these social media platforms where we want to purchase items. Right? So it's a it's a strange position to be in. It's like between a rock and a hard place. You want to purchase to stay safe and healthy. You don't want to get the coronavirus, but at the same time, persons are using that to their advantage. So what are some of the red flags that you should be paying attention to when you are doing online shopping, when you are dealing with these social media platforms where you're using Instagram and WhatsApp and in order to go and purchase items? What are some of the things that you need to be aware of? One, buyers refuse to meet in person or refuses to meet you in a public space. As soon as you observe where that the person doesn't want to meet you on your terms, you have a problem there. Immediately that should throw up a red flag. And that's why we try to ask persons to, meet close to a police station, meet in public places where there's a lot of traffic in terms of individuals. It's a sort of safety net you can place yourself in. Secondly, perpetrator may express interest in an advertisement or places an item for sale on social media. Sellers and buyers requesting that you pay large sum of money in cash and refusing checks. That's a red flag. Sellers and buyers that are adamant about meeting at a particular location. We spoke about that earlier. Sellers and buyers requesting that you meet on odd days and times, example like Sundays and late at night, and then meeting at a known hotspot. This is something that we expect people will allow common sense to prevail. But it has become observant where persons are going in known hotspots to make purchases. And we are telling them, cease from this type of action, right? We don't want you to be living in fear, but at the same time too, we are asking that you use wisdom in your approach in dealing with these issues. So, basic precautions that you can take. Insist on meeting to conduct transactions and examine the item before completing the transaction. Meet in a public place, as I said earlier. This is an important one. Take a friend, a brother, a sister, aunt, uncle. Take somebody with you. Many police stations offer meetup spots. Speak to the police officers on duty at the station and inform them that you are about to make a transaction. Also remember to exchange items in busy and well-lit areas. Always use official payment methods. Always use a secure method of payment such as a credit card, debit card, or other forms of payment services. Do not meet someone at night or at places you are unfamiliar with. My rule is that nobody determines what place I am going to meet you. Nobody determines that for me. I determine where is the meeting place because I'm the purchaser. All right? And then we have issues now where even sellers now are becoming victims, where persons are meeting up with them, telling them to meet. If I'm a seller of an item, I am also going to be cautious as to the suggestions of the places people are placing. So don't meet with someone at night or at places you are unfamiliar with. And that's why a general rule of thumb is meet close to a police station, in the police station, meet there. That's a safe place. That's a place that you know for sure no nefarious practices will occur. If you meet, make sure you are in the view of a closed circuit TV, with CCTV camera, so that the exchange is being recorded if something were to happen. I have a little tip for you here. If I am going to make a purchase online and I have to meet with someone after in order to make the purchase, if I say I'm going to be there for 1 o'clock, I'm going to try and be there for about 12, quarter past 12, and take some time and observe the movement of persons and operations taking place in the area. And that gives me a nice little platform to know if there is a safe place to operate. Go earlier, before. Sometimes you may see a behavioral pattern that will give a red flag, and you will know, that something is being planned ahead of you on these things. Ask the seller to include something in the photograph that proves it was taken recently. Ask for certificates of authenticity, serial numbers, manuals, pictures of labels, and stitching to ensure that the item is authentic. There's some work that has to be done. This is not a free willy kind of approach, willy-nilly, just, I'm going to buy. No, there's some work that you have to do when you are shopping online. You have to take your time. Don't be rushing. If you're rushing, you're going to become a victim. Take your time. Because at the end of the day, nothing can replace your safety. So take your time. Ask questions. If you find somebody is very irritable and find you asking too much question, that's a flag. That's something you need to be careful with. Because if I am selling something, I must know that the customer is always right. So I need to take the time and patience in order to sell this item. But if I'm rushing, it tells you that there may be some ulterior motives behind the sale. Some takeaways, some things to remember. The seller, do they look official? Have you bought from this seller before? Get reviews. Ask persons. I like the word of mouth. Word of mouth sometimes is better than getting reviews online, in my opinion. So hear word of mouth. Somebody would have purchased, call the person. Hey, you purchased from this boy before? This guy before? He's selling cell phones. She's selling handbags, and you have a purchase from them. Send me a picture what you bought. Was it in good? Talk to somebody directly. It's a good way of gauging what's going on. When making payments, always beware of retailers asking for payment to be made via wire transfer. Look out for that. For many times, you wire the money and you never hear from that person again. And we know that is quite prevalent. And most importantly, you must trust your instincts. I believe in that gut feeling you would get when you're dealing with someone. You get something is wrong here. I don't dismiss that. That is that is almost like your conscience is telling you, hey, listen, be careful, trouble is around. Don't allow your desire to get the item overrun the importance of seeing about your safety. And then look at the price, whether buying online or in person. Always think about the price. All right? Always watch to see what's going on. If you see something, you know the value of something is a particular price, and this person is offering it at some exorbitantly less value. Look out, because hey, I have news for you. There's something called receiving stolen articles, which you can be charged for. So you have to be careful that this person is not selling stolen merchandise. So as I come to the end of this little presentation, I would like to, really lay into the public today to be very careful shopping online. Yes, it's convenient. Yes, you may save on gas, as the previous speaker spoke about, but do the homework. That's all we're saying. Do the homework, and you and your family will remain safe. I thank you.
That was Inspector Hernandez, Miss Woodruff Roberts. That was power-packed. and we have questions waiting for you. But I took some notes for Inspector Hernandez in particular, because one of the things that you said resonated with me. And as Consumer Affairs Division under the Ministry of Trade, we've been having an uptick as well in a number of these issues. In particular, we have the one with the wire transfers, where people put money, go to a bank, a local bank, and they're given an account number and asked to pay upfront for an item rather than cash on delivery or through a delivery service. And we've had an uptick in that. So I know that that is something that people will want to ask questions about. And I myself have a question, because I know we have to deal with it and sometimes we come to a dead end. Is there an avenue under the CSNU, TTPS, that if it is that the consumers hit a dead end, can they visit you to seek assistance where that is concerned?
What we try to advise, because we want the public to know that they can go to any police station and make a report in relation to any of these items that I spoke about. Remember, fraud is a crime, and there are different types of frauds. And we want persons to feel free. You can go to a station, and once there's something that is required by CSMU, the officers at the station will make the necessary arrangements, because we want you to note that the investigator at the station is who will contact CSMU in order to get the assistance. It might be the phone number of the person. It might be information pertaining to the email address. They may want to get the IP address to get a location in relation to where this because the person was scammed. All these things are available, but we try to push persons to the direction of the nearest police station, so that action can be taken in a timely manner.
Okay. In terms of that, and I just want you to stay with us for a bit. You mentioned that persons can sell you stolen items, and I found that particularly troubling, because as a layperson, I mean, it can happen to any of us. We know there's certain red flags, like, well, if it's too good to be true, it isn't, cheap thing, not good, and all that. We tell ourselves that. But what, as a layman, can I do? How can I spot if something is stolen? What would give off that? I mean, apart from the cheapness, maybe a pipe I might sell you, I don't know. Tell me if it is what I should look out for, particularly with respect to stolen goods.
So that's an excellent question, by the way. Many times people in purchasing items, they fail to do their homework. I like to point people in the direction of this word called reputation. It is very easy to just get up, let me just purchase an item and get on with it. I mentioned it earlier. Well, when we had our discussions before, I told you of this microwave society where persons are focusing, I want this thing instantly. Everything is instant. I throw it in the microwave, I get it good. Something to cook, I want this word instant has become an Achilles heel for the consumer, because when you're looking for things instantly, you brush through all the red flags, you push it aside because you want to get this item, and you're so focused on getting the item because it's an instant society. Well, I have news for you. While it is convenient to live in an instant society, that is where the criminal lies. He or she waits for this instantness. And what we try to tell persons is, when you're looking to purchase something from someone, do your homework, get information about that person. Are they accustomed selling items, or is this a first time that they just brought an item for sale? That's a red flag, because quite quickly somebody would have just stolen an item and they are quick posting it up to get it sold, to get it off their hands. And then in whose possession is it? It is in the possession of the person who purchased it, and hence they will be charged. Another item to look at when you're dealing with online shopping and want to know the validity of an item, ask the person, I gave some tips, ask the person to, give you a background on how they came into possession of that item. That's a question you can ask. You ask them, so what, you're a reputable seller, how long have you been selling this item? What, you bring it in, or is it something when you start to ask the questions, inadvertently you begin to get the answers you're looking for. And that opens a big door now to see the character of the person responding. So if you find this we're asking, man, when you ask answer that question, you don't know, that is a spirit you're dealing with. That is not someone who is accustomed being a retailer selling items to persons, because they don't even know about customer care and the understanding that as a consumer, I can't ask questions about what I'm purchasing.
Good to know. Okay, so tips were given for both buyers and sellers.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting, because most of the time you look for the seller to be the person that's perpetrating the crime. But I saw that you pointed out that the crime can come from either side.
Yes.
And I thought that was very interesting. I also thought that this meeting spot at police stations was really interesting, because I didn't know that that was facilitated, and I think that's a good way, a good direction to go, because apprehension is building in the general public about online shopping, about virtual shopping, the safety aspect of it, depositing money blindly and not getting the service or the good for it. So I thought that these points were really interesting, and I want you all to stay with us, because we have 3 questions for you. We got them via email, so we want you to stay with us. We have a question from Karen of Mayaro, and he wants to know, what are some of the red flags that would make us know that the seller is dishonest? And I think you covered that just now, but in terms of the dishonesty, could you point us in that kind of a direction?
So these persons who are scammers or looking to make a quick buck, they are well rehearsed in their stories, well rehearsed in what they are bringing to the public and the knowledge of the public, because they understand that persons are going to be apprehensive, but they still want to catch you. So I keep saying this over and over. People want to know, why it is. How do you know if somebody is good, bad? If they do your homework. We keep saying it. You start to do your homework and try to find out about the reputation of this seller or this person that is bringing an item. Ask the questions, as I said earlier on. Ask the question. I think in one of the slides, if I'm permitted, I'd like to just go back to it. In one of the slides there, hold on. I want to show you all something there. In one of these slides, it has a all right, I realize the slide don't want to hold on.
That's okay. So we understand you do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. But in one of the slides, I think earlier on we were talking about the going down into details and specifics about asking about the item.
Right.
You want to see the
Correct.
tags. You want to see, you want pictures of the item, a short little video of the item. So, and you want, this is a nice point. You want to see the person with the item.
Okay.
That's another thing. You don't want they sending generic pictures to you of the item where they just pull it down from online and showing you a picture. You want to actually see the person's face with the item and these things to identify the authenticity of the seller.
All right. So Karen, emailing from Cunupia, she asks, what do I do if the seller changes meeting place while in? And I know you spoke about doing like a casing of the area before. It sounds like a real kind of cloak and dagger, but I mean, when you said it, I was like, wait. So it's almost like if you were like a PR, a private investigator or something like that. I'm going, like, if it is 4 o'clock, you have to go at 12 o'clock. It felt so clandestine, kind of. So, but I understand where you are coming from. So I will let you answer.
Yeah, well, as we, in our discussions before, I told you, that's a red flag. As soon as somebody changes location minutes before, shortly, I can't meet you here. Could you meet me here? Or they said, here we're meeting at 4, and then just so they change and said, could we meet at 5? And could it be, you notice they want to move from daylight into night. Immediately, that's a red flag. Run for your life. Run for your life. Don't even think about it. It's not worth your life, or your safety is not worth that item. Put that first before.
Okay.
You go.
I know that you did mention that because I think coming down to the end, you said some people put the item first rather than their safety. I remember you said that, and I think some people, even when you said that, would think, but I really wanted that item. And because some of these sellers put items on the advertisement, it sells you and everybody else because of how good it looks. And sometimes it probably is too good to be true. And you ignore the red flags or the gut feeling, as you said, and they go still, even though the person changed the time or the place. So I know that where you're coming from with that. Okay, so one more. We have Annette from Marabella, and she wants to know where she can get more information if she wanted the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, CSM, to do a presentation at her workplace. Right,
so we try our best to direct persons to the Office of the Commissioner of Police to request permission for CSMU. As you know, we are a paramilitary organization, and we must receive instructions in order to carry out some of these duties. So make a request to the Office of the Commissioner of Police, and which is the email for that is cop@ttps.gov.tt. I'll repeat it, cop@ttps.gov.tt. So you can make your requests there, and once it meets the threshold, because we don't go to any place to give presentations. Once it meets the threshold, the Office of the Commissioner will contact CSMU and give instructions to deliver a presentation on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Excellent. Okay, this was Power Packed with Ms. Woodruff Roberts and Inspector Daniel Hernandez of the CSMU. We want to thank you for all that you imparted to us today. I know it is a lot, but I want you to remember that you can contact the police service, the CSMU, TTPS, and if it is that you would like to get a lecture or an infographic, you can contact the CSMU via the slide that is on the screen. Thank you, Inspector Hernandez. And the email that he gave was cop@ttps.gov.tt. And there's also cybercrime at TTPS. So we have come to the end of our presentation for today, and we want to remind you to be safe while you are shopping online. Look out for the red flags pointed out by Mrs. Woodruff Roberts and Inspector Hernandez. Don't put the product before your safety, in as much as you would like to have it. If it is that something changes with the arrangement, feel free to not pursue the product. Okay, so we want to thank you for joining us today. And if it is that you have any questions or comments, or you wanted to get more information, this would be played over and over again on our Facebook page, Consumer Affairs Division TNT. You can call us 800-4277 toll free between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:15 p.m. You can also email us consumeraffairs@gov.tt. That's consumeraffairs@gov.tt. We want to take this opportunity to thank you, and we want you to practice to be safe on the roads these days. It's been a lot of traffic. We had the rains. Today we have wonderful sunshine. So continue to enjoy your Friday and enjoy your weekend, and join us on the next installment we have in October, and we will give you more information, more tips. Christmas is coming up, so we'll be giving you tips on that as well. So please feel free to join us in our next installment, and we thank you for joining us today. So until next time, have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.